Hey guys, it's Katie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you all of the books that I read in the month of May. I have 6 to talk about and I enjoyed most of them, so I think this should be a pretty good video. This is one of the better reading months that I've had this year, so if you want to learn any more about these books in particular, I will have links to them down below so you can go check them out. I also review them all on Goodreads, so if you want to follow me on Goodreads, my profile is down there, and I will also put timestamps down there if you want to jump to one particular review. But other than that, I don't really think I have anything to say for this intro, except please just don't look at my hair. It's awful today, I know, but I really just do not feel like doing it. Like, I aggressively don't want to do it, so just don't look at it. The first book that I read this month was Easy by Tamara Weber. This is a new adult romance that's very heavy on rape culture, sexual assault, victim blaming, all of those kinds of issues. This book came out a long time ago. I'm real late to the party on this one. The edition that I have is from 2012. I think it came out originally in like 2010. Either way, it's an older book, but it's really popular and really well loved for a good reason. I think I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, maybe like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I flew through this. This book is actually to thank for me having a good reading month last month, and this month I was so invested in this and obsessed with it that it finally got me out of my like 6-month-long reading slump. I think new adult will do that for you. Whenever you're in a reading slump, just read like a new adult romance and you'll fly through it and you'll realize that you love reading again. But this book follows a sophomore in college. Her name is Jacqueline, and the very first chapter, so this is not a spoiler, she gets sexually assaulted by someone that she knows. She's rescued by this boy who's in one of her classes who she's never really noticed before, and so the book is kind of about her coming to terms with what happened to her budding romance with this new guy, and then she also recently broke up with her long-term boyfriend. I really enjoyed this. It had some good smutty scenes in there if you're into that kind of thing. It was really cute. I couldn't put it down. I flew through this in like 24 hours. When I say I couldn't put it down, I literally could not put it down. I'm pretty sure I was reading this during finals week too. It was just not a good idea. My only problem with this book is I think it does a really good job. I think it tries really hard to draw attention to really important issues. It makes a very valiant effort at showing that consent can be sexy, and our main love interest is quite the gentleman and he's always very respectful, and I'm all for that. But the book does kind of like beat you over the head with the consent is sexy. Like every 2 minutes it needed to like spell it out for you in case you weren't sure. So good intentions. I totally understand where the author's coming from. I love her attempt at bringing to light some really important issues in this book, but at the same time I did not need to be beat over the head with it. Like, I got it. Like, we can read between the lines. So yeah, super addictive. Would totally recommend if you're in a reading slump, if you want something fast, something you're gonna fly through, if you just generally like the new adult romance kind of genre. I think this is one of the better ones for sure. It definitely doesn't have like a toxic, abusive relationship in it like most of them do, so that was refreshing. I know there are other books in this world. They're not like sequels. They follow the other characters' point of view, so I haven't picked those up. Don't know if I will. Haven't seen the best reviews for them, and I tend to not really like those kind of books anyways, but if you really enjoy this and you want more, there are like 3 or 4 books in this world. The second book that I read in May was Glass Houses, the first book in the Morganville Vampire series. This edition is a bind-up of the first 2 books. This series is a long one. I want to say there's like 15 or 16 books in this series. It's gigantic. Again, this is really old. I want to say the first one came out in maybe like 2002 or so, early 2000s. And so I picked this up in the hopes of it being a trashy paranormal romance. That is all I wanted. I wanted the Twilight vibes. Like, that was what I was in the mood for, and I ended up giving this book a 2 out of 5 stars. I was so disappointed because it's such a long series, so I was like, oh my god, if this first book is great, I have 15 trashy books to read, and it just was not good. Our main character is like 16 or 17 years old, but she's like a genius, so she's in college, and her parents did not want her to go away even to like the good school, so she's going to this school that's close to home that's not so great. And apparently there are vampires in this small town, and she starts getting bullied like pretty aggressively by these girls in her dorm, to the point where like her life is in danger. And so to try and like save herself, she goes off campus and tries to live with these older people meaning like late teens, early 20s, what they call the glass house. And for whatever reason, I thought her new roommates at this house were going to be the vampires in the book. That's what I've always thought this book was about. That's not what this book is about. The people in the house are human, but they know about the vampires that are going on in the town, and they kind of teach her about what's going on in this town. So that threw me for a loop. That's not why I didn't like the book, but like that's not what I thought the book was about. The bind up edition makes it look like a regularly sized book, but it's actually like barely 200 pages. Red flag. My major issue with this book is everything in it, like literally everything, was underdeveloped. This is a bare bones book. The friendships in here, super insta lovey, insta friendshipy. The world building, the development of the plot, like nothing happened with a good pace. Nothing made sense. Nothing was developed. It was a mess. I feel so mean saying that, but this is a mess. And it's not like it's a bad idea. It's a decent premise. Like, I feel like I could have liked these characters more, and I could have liked this more if it had been developed more, but 200 pages for a book, of course everything felt underdeveloped. So I know it's like a really long series, so maybe things get developed like later on, but I was so turned off by this first book that I will not be wasting my time with the rest of the series. I'm super disappointed by that. I was really hoping to love it. I'm just gonna be totally brutally honest, this book was really bad. Giving it a 2 out of 5 stars was being generous. Anyway, this was not my favorite read of the month. I'm gonna move on to book number 3. The book that I read after that, almost like more disappointing because I had way higher expectations for quality on this one. I strategically picked up this book next because I had not liked the one before it, and so I was like, I need a book I know I'm gonna love. So I went and found the book that everyone loves right now and everyone is talking about, and I was like, of course I'm gonna love this book. I have to love this book. Everyone I trust, everyone I know who has like a similar reading taste as me loved this book, so I will love this book. I also gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. I was so disappointed. It was truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. To be fair, I think is a case of it's me, not the book, because I can totally see why people love this book, and I don't have the same issues with this that I had with the Morganville vampires. Like, the quality of this book was fine. The writing was good. The characters were well developed. The plot was well fleshed out. The pacing was fine. Like, everything about this book was fine, but I did not enjoy my reading experience like whatsoever. So if you don't know what it's about, our main character is obsessed with true crime, specifically this one cold case, and there's this like elite academy boarding school kind of thing that she gets accepted to, and that's where the cold case occurred. And so her like major project is she's trying to solve this case, and it was compared to like Agatha Christie and things like that. So I was hoping this was gonna be like a super atmospheric, creepy thriller, crime novel, mystery, and I was just bored reading this. The characters were well developed, but I felt so much distance from them that I never was super invested in them. I didn't really care what happened to them. I didn't particularly like any of them. For whatever reason, I just felt that's like the best description I can have of my reading experience, was there was so much distance between me and the book. And that could obviously be for like a million different reasons, but overall I just did not vibe with this book whatsoever. I was just really bored by it. It just did not draw me in. I think maybe if this was like one of the first books like this that I had picked up, I would like it more, but maybe because I've read so many other books like this that in my opinion did it better, by the time I got to this one, it didn't feel that unique to me. I don't know. I'm really upset that I didn't like this. I really wanted to like this. But to be fair, a lot of people told me that the second book blew them away and was a lot better. So I originally had no intention of continuing on with the series, but after being told that several times, I'm curious. I might give the second book a try, but this first one for me was a 2-star. Going off of my like paranormal kick this month, I read The Devouring Gray by Christine Lynn Herman next. This is another one that's been pretty popular on BookTube lately, so I was hoping I would agree with people and I would like it too, especially when people were comparing it to The Raven Boys and Stranger Things. Like, that is right up my alley, and you will be pleased to know I actually liked this one. I think I gave this like a 3 out of 5 stars. 3.75 out of 5 stars to be exact. This book is set in a small town that's like surrounded by this forest, and we follow a couple of different point of views of the children of the founders of this town, and basically the founders of this town are charged with protecting the town because there's some kind of beast in the forest that they protect everyone from, and the founders like throughout their family line pass down like powers to their families, and all of the different families have different kinds of powers, and one of our main characters is just moving back to this small town, and she knows nothing of the history or her family's history or her supposed powers or anything, and her mom can't remember anything either, even though she grew up there. So It wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be, but I still really enjoyed it, and I think this is the first book in a series, so I'm intrigued enough and I liked the first book enough to go on to the second book, so that's always a good thing. It's one of those things where I feel like I could definitely get more invested and I could like this series more with the sequels. You know, I actually don't know if it's supposed to be like multiple sequels or if it's just duology, but there is at least a second book up on Goodreads. I definitely got some like Riverdale vibes from this, so maybe if you like that show, you'll like this book. It was a little bit ridiculous at times, but it was kind of funny. Like, it was like a trashy high school TV show kind of thing. Like, I could 100% see this turning into a CW TV show. So the first book didn't blow me away, but I still enjoyed it. It was definitely very atmospheric and creepy, and I love when a book can do that because I feel like that's an element, it's like a missed opportunity in a lot of books, is when they don't really play up the setting, and this book had such a unique and vivid setting, and that's my favorite aspect of this book for sure. My favorite character is Isaac. I liked Isaac the most. I did not understand the appeal of, I can't even remember his name, Justin, is that the other main guy? Didn't like him like at all. He just was spineless and annoying. But yeah, overall I would recommend this one. I did enjoy it. The next book that I finished this month was an audiobook, and that was Girl Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis. This is like a self-improvement kind of book. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. If you watch my vlogs, I've been listening to nonfiction and self-improvement kind of books during my commute in the morning, and it's just been a really nice way to start my day with something so positive and uplifting. So I kind of gave this book like a review in my vlog, so I'll try and keep it brief here so I'm not super repetitive. But there is one thing that you should know about Rachel Hollis's books if you don't know anything about them, because it's not told anywhere. The books are not marketed this way, and so the first time I went into one of her books, I was so surprised because it's not what I was expecting. She's an online blogger. She started her own business. She's very famous and popular online and stuff. I hadn't heard of her until I found her books. Her first book was Girl Wash Your Face, but her books have like a Christian faith tilt to them. Didn't know that. They're not marketed that way. It's a surprise when you go into the book if you didn't know that. And I feel like those themes were pretty heavy in her first book, Girl Wash Your Face. In this book, less so. Personally, that's not my thing. Those are not the kind of books that I like to read. I kind of stay away from that genre. But this book in particular, like I said, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. So I feel like it was good enough and there was enough else going on that didn't really bother me, that didn't really distract. Like, that wasn't her main focus. Like, she talks about so many other things in it, and this one definitely wasn't as heavy as her first book. So she narrates it herself, and I think her voice is very pleasant to listen to. She's a motivational speaker. Like, she goes out and does like big crowd speeches and stuff, so she's very well spoken. There's a couple things about this book, like the way that she chose to write it, that kind of bothered me. Like, she's clearly trying to appeal to like a trendy younger audience, and so she uses like current slang and stuff, and it just sounds kind of weird. A lot of the book is talking directly to the reader, and she refers to the reader as sis or sister like every other page. Another common complaint that I saw in other people's reviews for this book was she seemed kind of detached from like a normal life. Like, she comes from very like humble upbringings, but she's filthy rich now, and I think she's just kind of forgotten. She'll be like, you know, when you go to the nutritionist for the first time, or you know, when you get a boob job, and like all of these things that obviously, no, us as your readers, we don't know. We cannot afford to do those things. Or how she talked about how it was a priority that she only flies first class every time she flies, and I'm just like, I've never even ridden first class once. Like, no, I cannot relate to this. These are not my priorities. So yeah, there's things like that. But overall, I think the content of the book is still really good, still really motivational, inspirational. It's a really, like I said, good thing to listen to in the morning. It always put me in a good mood, made me feel good about myself. I really enjoyed it. But there are some things in this book that you have to look past. And so lastly, the final book that I finished this month was a reread of Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I read this for the first time a year and a half ago, I think. And this is my third time reading it. It's just as good every time I read it. This is one of my favorites. I've given it a 5 out of 5 stars like every time. After coming out of Girl Stop Apologizing, I was just kind of in the mood to listen to another like inspirational audiobook. Big Magic isn't a self-improvement book. It's more a book on creativity, and honestly a lot of it focuses on writing craft, so if you're a writer, I would 100% recommend this one. But even if you're just like any kind of creative person, she really just talks about creativity, living a creative life, working in creative jobs, things like that. And I think she has so many good insights in here. So many things just like took the words like right out of my mouth. Like it made so much sense to me. And this is a book that I keep going back to and rereading whenever I need a little bit of inspiration. I think it's a fantastic book. It's one of the best books about writing I have ever read. Honestly, I think it's my favorite book on writing that I have ever read. Anyway, those are all of the books that I finished in May. Make sure to leave a comment down below if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. I would be super interested to hear your thoughts. Or tell me what your favorite book that you read in May was so I can add it to my TBR, because I'm always looking for new suggestions, especially if you have some nonfiction suggestions. For whatever reason, I'm on a huge nonfiction kick right now and I'm always looking for new things to read. I still love YA, always gonna love YA, but I'm kind of sick of it right now. As you can probably tell by my ratings, the YA books tend to be a lot lower than the rest of them. I think I just need a break from YA and I just need to branch out and read some other things. So if you have any recommendations of things that you've read lately that's not a YA book, please tell me because I don't know why me and YA just are not getting along right now. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you are having a fabulous day. If you want to follow me on any of my social media, all of those links are down below in the description, as well as all of the stuff for these books. I also have a Patreon page where I post bonus content and do a monthly book club on there if you want to come hang out over there. And I'm kind of out of breath because I've been talking so much. I think that's all I have to say. If you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up because it actually does help out my channel like a ton. And if you're not subscribed already, and you haven't been turned off by how quickly I speak, then feel free to. I post new videos every Thursday and Sunday. So yeah, I'm gonna go now. See you guys in another video very, very soon. Bye.
So hit me. So hit me. So hit me. First a confession. With you, I feel a connection. With you, it's